You ready? Okay. My name is Mr. Lee, and I watch a program on Dateline NBC about innocence lost, about Bill, and I can relate to Bill very well, except for my scenario is a little bit different. Same thing, falsely accused. I feel like my innocence has been taken from me. I've talked to hundreds of lawyers, and when they ask me what I was charged with, the look in their eyes and on their faces and the change of energy that I see, and it seems like they're all from the same school. It's all the same. I'm guilty. It's like every time I have to do that, it's like being emotionally raped, assuming my guilt, even though there's overwhelming evidence that proves my innocence. I've always had the utmost respect for the police, and even more so after I went through the process that I went through, because I got to see what kind of people that they have to deal with on a daily basis. But I have no respect for the police that do not investigate, do not prove their case in any way, shape, or form. Now I am terrified. They come for me anytime that they want to. They don't seem to need any arrest warrant or any documentation whatsoever. They take me away, and they do whatever they want to. The law seems to be just for the rich and for the high-profile cases. I was never indicted in my case. The preliminary hearing was the alleged indictment. My alleged accuser was never present. My lawyer never had the chance to cross-examine the alleged victim. The detective who tampered with evidence sat in her stead. I never had a chance. I have no idea what is going on around me at this time. It's a world I've never seen before, never been in. For me, being of an 8th grade education, I was a perfect patsy for these guys. The entire time I knew I was being set up. They were getting away with it, and there was nothing I could do. It hit home the hardest when the judge said, after 4 years of being tortured by them, there are grievous problems with evidence, and I couldn't even take you to trial. That's when I knew everything that had happened to me in the past and everything that was going to happen to me in the future was illegal. There is no one to turn to. But I never stopped. People, here you are accused of raping a child 12 years old, and you're guilty. They can't hear you after that. But wouldn't that be a high-profile case? How rare is it for an accused to ask for an investigation after the case seems to have ended? The problem is, I don't know how it ended. Strange, I believe. They tried to kill me, taking my children and stealing my life from me. If what I say is true, and it is, then someone is in trouble. I expect they will try to kill me again if this goes public. As terrified as I am, I can't stop. If I am a liar, prove it. If I am not a liar, prove it. When I was arrested, there was no warrant, no Miranda rights read to me. I was interrogated without Miranda rights. They took my children without communications, without my children for the last 9 years. I bailed out of Prescott, Arizona, went to Colorado, turned myself in, and bailed out the next day. Went back to Colorado, went to an extradition hearing on February 19th. They put me back in jail. 2 days later, they released me. I went to an evidentiary hearing where I got to read the pretext conversation in transcript. and I knew right away that it had been tampered with. My lawyer refused to have the tape examined, even though I pestered him time and time again to have the tape examined, and did not know at that time that it was my legal right to have that tape examined. I was refused over and over again. I was told to take a polygraph test by my lawyer. I passed it with a 10, an 8, and a 7. They say it was with flying colors. I then took another polygraph examination by the prosecuting attorney's polygraph examiner and passed that one with flying colors with 10s across the board. Preliminary hearing, I did not get to face my accuser, as I've already said. I think this is a wrong, big time. I never did get to defend myself. My lawyer got cancer of the throat after postponing and waiving my rights to a speedy trial 6 times. He got cancer of the throat. He knew I was innocent. He told me that they knew I was innocent as well, but they didn't want to take the risk. I don't know what that meant. When I got my new attorney, she was a public defender. I told her the tape was tampered with immediately. She had me pay for a private examiner. When she found out that I was telling the truth, that the tape was tampered with, she immediately went to the judge, to the prosecuting attorney, and to the detective who tampered with the tape. She became a judge. She went from the public defender's office to a judgeship overnight. And I was thrown to the dogs. I was given an Alfred plea. I was given that as an option. I was told by my next lawyer, who did nothing for me but threatened me with the alleged piece of evidence that had been tampered with. I never got the document until long after I had taken the plea bargain. He told me and my wife that I would spend the rest of my life in prison, and my wife would never get to see me again if I didn't take the plea bargain. It was an Alfred plea for a misdemeanor 3, which at that time I didn't know was completely and totally illegal, and I know it now. After taking that, after taking the plea bargain, I was sent for many psychological exams. We found out that not only was I not guilty, that it was impossible for me to commit such a crime, that I am not psychologically or emotionally or physically equipped to do such a thing. And they continued to pursue me. I went on probation, and after I went back to Arizona, in Arizona, at the sheriff's office, they told me that I was a convicted felon on 4 counts, and that they were going to proceed to treat me as such, and they did. They sent me to counseling. For 3 months, they tried to, on many occasions, force me to admit guilt to a crime that I didn't commit. At the end of the 3rd month, I went to take another polygraph examination, which I was more than willing to do. And I was told by the polygraph examiner, who is employed by the state of Arizona, that it was illegal for me to be there. It was illegal for me to be on probation. It was illegal for her to give me a polygraph test. And it was illegal what they were doing to me. And she sent me out of the office with my money. Her name was Sandra Gray, and that's the only name I'm given. And Sandra Gray is with the Psychological Counseling and Services in Mesa, Arizona.